Hello, my name is Kelly Bluen. Welcome to my Mini-Mandala series. In these videos, I guide you through creating a little mandala just using a paper and a few writing tools, along with a coin or any other circular object. Today I've got a micron pen. It's a PN plastic nib. I have a blending tool called a tortillon, and I'm using a little graphite pencil to do some drawing and some shading. I'm also using a 5" by 5", just a little sketchbook. Nothing fancy. Okay, so to make this mandala, we're going to start right away with our pen and our coin. And we're going to find a spot on the page and trace it. All right, there's the beginning of our mandala. Okay, we're going to start with the inside of this mandala today. So I'm going to start by making a small circle in the middle. And then I'm going to make another circle in between these two. And then in the very center, I'm going to color it in, but I'm going to leave a moon-shaped reflection. And then on this part here, I'm just going to put in some very thin lines. I love making thin little lines because you don't need to worry about them. You don't need to try very hard. You can just relax and enjoy the movement of your pen. Okay, that is the start of our mandala. Now I'm going to make a very thin line all the way around it. Going really slowly because I don't know about you, but for me it's hard to make a line close to another line. And if you don't want to do that part, you can skip it. Okay, now I'm going to get a piece of scrap paper. So I'm just ripping a piece of paper off, something I have sitting nearby. And I'm going to make some grid lines, and then I'm going to use this as like a little ruler. So my grid lines, I need a line across the center and a line vertical. I'm also going to put in an X, dividing up each of these 4 corners. And then just take a little step back and look to see if they are fairly even. In these mini mandalas, we're not looking for perfect. We're just trying the best we can and enjoying the process. Okay, now I'm going to take my piece of paper and I'm going to go up probably about, I don't know, maybe about an inch, maybe about the width of my finger. And I make a line on the paper and then a line on my sketchbook. And I just do this all the way around. Whenever I make these larger circles, I like to just make them as even as I can. Okay. Now I'm going to pick up my pen again. And now I'm going to go from that line, and I'm going to make a slight curved line down to this line and down to that line. And I'm going to go to the next little dash I made here, and I'm going to go down to that line and down to this one. And we're making this little crossover here, which I really like. So I go to that next little dash and I go down to the line and to the other line. Do it again. And I just keep repeating that process. So it should look like that. And if your little dashes were shorter, then these are just going to be a little bit shorter. And if your dashes were longer, these are going to be pointier. But I just make these up as I go, so it's not like it has to look a certain way. Just enjoy it. Okay, inside these little triangles, I'm going to do a loop and color it in. So my loop is wider on top and narrow on the bottom. If you would like to get more creative inside these, please do. There are endless designs that you could fill these with. Go all the way around. Okay, now in these larger areas, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put a little aura, just a line on the inside of that petal. Just like how that separates it a little bit from whatever we're going to do next. And typically I would aura the outside, but I thought doing the inside would just give us a different way to do it this time. And I really hope that you notice, you know, this line right here is very thin. This one ended up really wide. It's okay. I promise it's okay. Let's zoom in a little bit. Okay. So now in these here, I kind of want to fill this space as much as I can. So I'm going to put a larger loop, not touching the top, but a larger loop. And then I'm going to put a small one on each side. And then I'm going to aura that. So watch close. I just follow those lines. And then I'm going to color in this extra area. Now, if you want, you could just make stripes. I'll do that first so you can see what that looks like. You could make stripes to match this, or you could color it in. I'm going to color mine in just because I really like the drama of the dark lines. Look how stunning that is. And then inside this one, I'm going to put a line with a dot. Okay, so I do a loop, smaller loops, and then I do an aura. And then I'm just coloring in what is left. The larger you make those loops, the less dark you need to put in. This would be fun to do a color if you didn't want to do black. Pick a marker or a colored pencil. So as I mentioned before, I just make these up. I have kind of a starting idea of what I want to do, and then I just add details as we go along. So I hope that you enjoy making these and following along, but I also hope that you know you have permission to make these as creative as you would like. We all have different things we like, different skills, different little patterns. It does not need to look like mine. So if you follow my channel, I'm hoping that some of you maybe follow my 15 minutes of Zen videos. I'm just going to talk as I'm coloring this in. I hope you don't mind. But I have videos called 15 Minutes of Zen that are drawing using the Zentangle method of drawing. And I love it. I love doing Zentangle. And I've always been fascinated by drawing, doodling, and especially by mandalas. So I started Zentangle first, and I've absolutely loved it. But I still tend to go very quickly when I draw. And just like I do in life, I just feel like I'm always going 100 miles an hour. And sometimes we just need to slow down. So if I had drawn this mandala, even probably a year or two ago, I would have not taken the time to color things in. I would have been hurrying to get it done, picking a quick pattern and moving on. So mandalas and Zentangle have taught me to slow down, take a breath, and just enjoy these few minutes of drawing every day. I also don't put music in my videos because we all feel relaxed by something different. So you are welcome to tune me out and put on whatever music you would like. Whatever makes you feel calm in this moment. So I said that I've slowed down, but I probably still color faster than a lot of you. I apologize. I'm going to go back and I'm just going to thicken this center line. And I'm going to thicken that first line we made when we went around the penny. Okay, now I'm going to put an orb, which is just a circle, but maybe an irregular circle. And I'm going to tuck one of those in each of these little crevices. These do not need to be perfectly round, just similar in size. Okay. Now I've got lots of options. We always have options, but you could add that same shape that we had over here. You could add something kind of fun and loopy if you wanted to. There's so many ways that you could finish off this cute little mandala. I'm going to go with some curves almost like a rainbow. I'm just going to jump over it like that, leaving a pretty even space around it. And then I'm going to do it a second time. And then I'm going to put those little lines in there to match the center of the mandala. So I'm just kind of watching my orb so that my little lines go pretty even around it. Again, you can do what I'm doing, or you're welcome to do something completely different and amazing. I truly love making these little mandalas, and I think this is number 22 in my series, and I think I made 2 or 3 and put them on my channel and then just kind of forgot about them. I never really planned on making so many because I don't have that many ideas. But there's inspiration everywhere. There's inspiration on Pinterest and on Google. There's inspiration in nature. And there's just an unlimited amount of ways that you can draw lines around a circle. And it's been a great challenge for me to come up with a new idea every week. And a great challenge to try to keep it interesting for all of you. So I hope each time you watch a video, you learn a little something new. Right, I'm going to end this by putting an aura just around this little tip that is peeking out here. And I thought about adding another line here and maybe making it dark, but I kind of like how this has turned out just like it is. So I'm going to stop right there. I'm going to add my initials and do a little bit of shading. All right, so for my shading today, I've got my little graphite pencil. I'm going to put some on that inside where those lines are and on that outer line. So I'm just putting a little bit of graphite all the way around. And then I pick up this blending tool. This is just a paper tortillon. You can get them at any craft store. And I soften this very gently all the way around and all the way around to that inside part. And look at how it makes this look almost like a coil. Makes it look like it's bumping out in the center. I love that. Okay, now I'm going to go to these little triangles and I'm just going to put some on the outside edge of each of those. And I'm going to softly and carefully push that out and away from those little triangles. And look at how it makes these first little triangles sort of pop off the paper and push that pretty pattern back down. And now I'm going to go on the outside of these larger petals. And I'm going to go around each petal all the way around it. So I might be going over my orbs a little bit. And I love how that kind of pushes those down behind. And then I take that tool again and I just push it out and away ever so gently. Creating a little shadow. Then I'm going to put some around the orb and then around the outside of the entire piece. So each orb, maybe I'll do my orbs first. And if you have space between your orb and this little divot down here, go ahead and fill that in with some graphite, so it's got a little dark area inside there. And then around the whole piece. I don't do this every time, but I do like how it makes the whole thing just lift off the paper slightly. I'm going to do my orbs first. Pushing that out and away from the orb. and then the outside of the whole piece. Just a little bit of a shadow. I'm going to take my eraser. I'm going to erase some of these grid lines that I made. There we go. I love how this one turned out, and I think I love it because of the dark areas. It just looks amazing. I'm going to take my blending tool. I'm going to put a little bit of shadow on the inside here around that little dark circle we made. Okay, there we go. Now I'm done. All right, so I hope that you enjoyed this one. Please, please, please date your work. And then if you can, write a sentence about what's going on in your life. I know personally I had a very busy weekend. I have a child graduating high school. I've got a son who's leaving on a big trip next week. Just so many things on my mind. And I like to just write a little reminder, a little journal entry about what's on my heart this week. What am I thinking about, and what am I doing with this 15 minutes to 20 minutes that I'm drawing? So anyway, thank you so much for joining me. Again, this is video number 22. So we'll see you next Monday. Have a great week.